What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are back with another reaction, and in this one we have differences between Australia and the U.S. We reacted to this YouTuber, Miss Ellie Majelli. I think that's how you say her channel name. And it was awesome to get the chance to react to, and now she's got more differences between the two countries. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy this, please don't forget to subscribe, give a video a thumbs up. Let's dive right in.
Australia and the US are very similar, but they're also very different. After growing up in the US and moving to Australia, I was shocked with how many differences are between the two countries. After living in Australia for almost 2 years now, I've gathered a full list of differences that I'm going to share with you today. Some of these will be a little controversial, so leave a comment down below on your thoughts and what you think about the differences between the two countries. Now let's jump into 10 differences that I've noticed between Australia and the US. Difference number 1. This is about the different cities in Australia and America. Even when you look at the size of the two countries, they're actually quite similar, but they differ a lot in population. In Australia, the population is 26.2 million, but in America, the population is 333.3 million people.
Gigantic
now, these
difference.
are stats from 2022, but they're quite accurate in showing the size between the two countries. Even the state of California has more people in it than all of Australia. Because of this, Australia is...
That's kind of crazy to think about, even because Australia is not that much smaller than the United States of America, but just like one state, California being, I believe, the biggest state in America, having more people than the entire country / continent of Australia is absolutely wild to think about, because there's a lot of land we know that's unlivable in Australia, but that's just crazy. Like, that just kind of shows like how packed in we are here in America, how much more spread y'all are in Australia.
Very condensed into its cities, and the rest of Australia, the rural parts, is all just quite empty.
Yeah.
And a way that you can really visualize this is looking at light pollution from the two countries. If you look at the US, you can see a ton of light coming out of it, spreading from the East Coast. There's a little bit of gap in the middle, and then all the way over to the West Coast as well.
Yes.
But if you look in Australia, everything is just so condensed in those cities, and
Dang,
everywhere else just
facts.
looks quite empty. Difference number 2, public holidays. In America, the public holidays are very government focused, where it'll be like MLK Jr. Day or Independence Day or George Washington's birthday, for example. But in Australia, the public holidays are a little bit more sports centered. For example, recently we just had the AFL Grand Final off. We also have the Melbourne Cup coming up, which is a bunch of horse races, and we really get the day off for that, which is crazy. For you Americans watching, that's like having the Super Bowl as a holiday. I recently just filmed a video on my perspective from the AFL Grand Finals, so feel free to watch that if you're curious.
Alright, check it out.
Difference number 3 is
love the AFL, and I do that all the time, bro, because I love the fact that they do. Shout out to the Brisbane Lions taking home that grand final by definitive victory. Definitive. But the fact that y'all get, I didn't know y'all got the grand final off. Like, that's a holiday in Australia. It's crazy. It's absolutely, like, yeah, the Super Bowl needs to be a holiday, even though it falls on Sunday. Most of us are off on Sunday. For those who got to work, it should be a holiday. We need to take some pages out the books of Australia. Here we go.
Student debt. You might have heard some horror stories of Americans in thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars
not that
in debt.
big,
The
like
school
30.
system over there is quite expensive for universities, and it just keeps increasing. So if you're permanently living in Australia and you go to university, your university tends to be on the cheaper side when we compare it to US dollars. However, if you're a student coming from overseas, you do have to pay out of country tuition, which tends to be a lot more. And that's where Australian universities get a lot of their money from, is from international students. Now, one thing I found out, which is quite interesting about how student debt is paid back. In America, when you get your student debt, it's a loan through a third party. However, in Australia, your student debt is paid through HECS. HECS, from what I understand, is like a government loan, and how you end up paying it off is actually it comes out of your paycheck directly. In your paycheck breakdown, where you have things like superannuation or the American equivalent 401k, maybe you have your other taxes coming out. But if you were a student and you had student debt, your HECS would be paid out from your direct pay. Because in America, you have to set up everything and make sure you're paying your student debt on time, where in Australia, it's all quite automatic. So I find it's quite a smart way for Australia to make sure people are paying back their student loans. I still have some student debt over in America, and it's so saddening. I wish it just came out of my paycheck, but no, I have to go send money over every single time. Difference number 4 is...
I feel like, and you can set it to where it does automatically come out. So you can sign up for a plan, but you got to go sign up for that plan. Here, I mean, at the moment, I don't. It's crazy because at the moment, I don't make enough to pay for student debt, to pay back. So my payments right now are $0. Thank the heavens. But when you think about it, whenever I make more, then they're going to start taking the student debt. And so it's going to be like I'm making more money, but at the same time, I still only have the same spending power as I would now because it's taking away the more money that I'll be making. And so it's, bro, adulting is depressing sometimes, bro. Like, life is expensive. Like, life is ridiculously expensive, and I do not enjoy it. I enjoy life. I don't enjoy the expensiveness of life. But anyways, let's continue the video. She's right about the student debt. Completely right about that topic.
Voting. So in America, it's completely up to you if you want to vote or not. In Australia, it really surprised me though, because voting is mandatory.
I like
so
that.
Because I'm an Australian citizen, when I came in, I had to vote. Otherwise, I would receive a fine in the mail saying you have to pay because you didn't vote. Because in America, there's a big emphasis on having the right to vote. And not everyone exercises that. But it was quite surprising because in Australia, you have to vote, otherwise you get fined. Number 5, ordering.
I do absolutely freaking love that. I feel like voting should be a mandatory thing. There's a lot of years in my life that I've had the opportunity to vote that I have not voted. So, yeah, I know, not good. But yeah, voting being mandatory, I think is a really cool thing. It really forces you to learn about the candidates that are being presented, and really forces you to make, I would hope, an educated decision, or not an informed decision. And you just have reasoning behind why you vote. That's all you can ask for.
Drinks. Okay, I want everyone to close their eyes and imagine that you're going out to the store. It's a really hot day, you're super thirsty, and you go up to Macca's. That's McDonald's for you Americans. And you go up to the person taking your order and you say, I would like a lemonade. What do you think you're getting? Are you thinking that you're gonna get a lemon juice, sugar, and water drink? Or are you thinking of Sprite? In America, you'd be thinking lemonade. That you would be getting the former,
lemon juice, sugar,
but
water.
In Australia, you'd actually be getting Sprite, and that's what they call lemonade. I was quite surprised because when I ordered a lemonade, I was expecting the lemon juice one, but no, I got Sprite. And I'm sure a lot of Australians do that when they head over to America and they ask for lemonade. Number 6 is playing sports.
It's just like lemon lime soda is what, like Sprite is what we... So lemonade, getting a Sprite. I mean, I'm not disappointed with a lemonade or a Sprite. And the reason I said no when she was like lemon juice, sugar, water things, because I was like, I don't know what stuff they be putting in lemonades, artificial flavor and all kind of different stuff in the lemonade. But I understand what she's saying. Yes, we just got a different name. Lemonade is lemon juice, sugar, water, or lemonade in Australia, Sprite. Just a little difference.
In university. In American university, sports is a very big part of the culture.
Humongous.
Think about football games or basketball games or attending a track and field event. Everything is very sports centric. Even a lot of the fashion that I see now is related to American culture. There is just a big culture in America around sports, but then specifically at university, there is a large portion based on sports. So I was actually a college athlete in America. I played soccer over there. It's quite interesting because when you're a student athlete, you get given extra kind of perks. For example, you get to pick your classes earlier than other NARPs. NARPs is non-athletic regular person. That's what we would call non-athletes at school. And even though the universities say that you're not supposed to get extra perks, sometimes you find that there are little things that you get given. Obviously, there's lots that you have to sacrifice at the same time when you play sports sports in college, but there is still a bit of help from the university to make sure that's an easier process for you, and choosing classes is one of them. But one fun thing about playing sports in college is that you can actually get a sports scholarship. So I got a partial scholarship when I was there, so I have some student debt, but a lot of it was paid off through the scholarship. But in Australia, you don't actually get scholarships to go to school for sports, which I found quite interesting. It's mainly just academic and financial help that you would get in terms of a scholarship. So in Australia, if you were really good at a sport, you're normally doing it outside of school. Yes, they do have teams where you can play like soccer or you can play basketball with other people from your school, but it's not super closely organized to the school, and it's more recreational. It's not a professional team that's supported by the university. Number 7,
that's like really cool and very interesting, the difference on that one. Okay. Yeah, sports are absolutely humongous over here in the U.S. Sport entertainment purposes, college sports, yes. And just got in an IL pass recently. Woo woo. These kids need to be getting paid because, like she said, even though they do get small perks, I don't think it's enough perks worthy of like having to sacrifice so much of your time for this sport, but still expected to do well in the classroom, as in where other students, I guess NARPs, as they call them. I was in NARP. But right, I just had to go to school and focus on passing my classes. I didn't have to worry about sacrificing any more time for a sport. I know a lot of people say, well, they're getting scholarships, so their school's being paid for. Yeah, but the money that the college athletes make for the school compared to the scholarships they're getting paid, especially when you're an elite athlete, is ridiculously unproportionate. So, yeah, I still in agreement that give them a little perk. Let them pick classes first. Give them as much perks as you can. They deserve them, and we're so invested in the sport, so we're excited to see like college. Especially when I was in school, I was excited to go to all the games and everything. So I appreciated the athletes. But yeah, I did not know that about Australia, that you guys do not do sports scholarships. I guess unless you're going to that one school for elite athletes. That's very interesting. What's your take on that subject? Do you think America's tripping on the way they're doing it? Do you think Australia should offer sports scholarships? Do you think each system works for each country? So each country has their own system and they do what works for them. Eggs, I know about eggs. I know y'all probably don't store them in the fridge. We do. I know different processes about trying to not get salmonella when it comes to the eggs. And so I got this one.
Store eggs. This is kind of a funny one because when I was in America, every time I'd be looking for eggs, you go to the refrigerated section. Yes. But I was shocked when I came to Australia and I was looking for eggs and I was going around the store, loops and loops, just looking everywhere, just all in the refrigerated section. And I was like, do Australians not have eggs? What is this? I cannot find a single place to find eggs. And then I finally asked a worker where are the eggs, and she's like, oh, they're down in aisle 3. And I'm like, there's no refrigerators there. That's so weird, but whatever, I'll trust her. And I walk over to the aisle 3 and I find that the eggs are just stored on the shelf. And it made me feel like an idiot because, of course, eggs are shelf stable. Like, they come out of a chicken on the ground, you know what I mean? There are other stores that I've been to in Australia that do have their eggs in a refrigerated section, but I just found it so interesting because I would never think that a grocery store would do that. I know it makes eggs last longer if you do refrigerate them, but I just kind of found it was quite surprising. Number 8, coffee culture.
And I think it's just the difference. I don't know if you guys are using the EU system of cleaning eggs or whatever. And I think that's the difference between storing them in the refrigerator or not. Because the way the U.S. cleans them, it takes a lot away of that protectiveness on the outside of the shell. And so you have to keep them in the fridge to avoid salmonella as much as possible. But, I mean, the way the eggs are raised also plays a difference. Here in the U.S., they're like they're being raised in conditions that are absolutely atrocious. And so there's a lot more risk for like bacteria, disease, or anything getting on them. So we have to clean them a certain way. But I think in other countries, I'm not sure if it's the same in Australia. The chickens are raised more like cage free. They're raised well. They're not in atrocious conditions. Therefore, they don't really have to worry about doing the cleaning process that we do. Instead, they have that outer layer a protectiveness on the eggs that's naturally there, and that's their way of protecting against like bacteria and certain things. So yeah, but she said some stores in Australia do refrigerate them, so I don't know.
And brunch culture. In America, it's quite normal for you to like go out for brunch and maybe get coffee with your girlfriends. It is still a normal thing to do, but since living in Australia, I definitely go to brunch and go get coffee way more than I was doing in America. In America, it's more seen as like a fast, quicker pace in terms of going to grab a coffee. It's normally like in a takeaway cup, and it could be drip coffee. In Australia, the coffee culture is crazy, especially in Melbourne where I'm living now. All really focused around quality of the coffee. You would never see anyone going to Starbucks. There is a Starbucks in the city, but I don't really see anyone go to it, to be honest. There are so many other great coffee to try. So if you're American and you ever come to Australia and you buy Starbucks, know that I hate you. So with brunch in Australia, because there's no tip and because taxes is included, I feel like it's more affordable to go out for brunch. So that could be the reason that I just go to more brunches now that I live in Australia. I think it's more of a culture of slowing down a little bit, hanging out with your family, hanging out with your friends. I know that's still something that you do in America, but I feel like it's quite emphasized to do in Australia. I feel like the typical Melbourne girls' weekend is Saturday morning, wake up, do a fitness class, and then go to brunch in your workout gear. I feel like I see so many people do that, especially when I used to live in Richmond. That was just everything that I would see on a weekend is girls walking around and guys walking around in their workout gear and then going to brunch and getting a coffee. Difference number 9
I mean, that's pretty cool. Hey, go out, do your thing, have fun. We know Australia is more laid back than the U.S., more chill. So, yeah, they take the time when they actually go out. Not everything has to be fast. No, like, let's hang out. Let's have a nice time. I thought that Australia had gotten rid of all Starbucks. I didn't know that Starbucks still was there in Australia because I know that Starbucks basically, like, failed in Australia and in a country where so many people brag about the greatest coffee culture on earth. And I'm talking about people that come from different countries and go to Australia and taste the coffee and like, this is the greatest coffee I've ever had. It's not it makes sense that Australia is not such a big brand.
UV protection. In Australia, it's quite known that the UV is really, really it's so bad, and people who come here from other countries just don't realize it and just get super, super sunburnt. In America, the UV is quite healthy, which is nice. So you normally can go out in the sun for a good couple hours, and maybe with some light sunscreen, you don't really have to worry about it. But in Australia, you can get burned in like 15 minutes, which is crazy. Because of that, there have been a lot of campaigns on being sun smart. Their campaign was known as slip, slop, slap. So getting people to, I think it's like slip on a shirt, slap on some sunscreen, and slap on a hat. So because of that campaign, a lot of skin cancer rates went down in Australia. But at the same time, I think it's something like 1 in 2 Australians get skin cancer, which is very, very scary. If you're coming to Australia, wear a ton of sunscreen.
Is it that bad? No way. 1 in 2 Australians get skin cancer? Like, when I think of skin cancer, I think of like possibility of killing you type cancer. And so, y'all talk to me in the comments. Explain this one to me,
cancer,
please.
Which is very, very scary. If you're coming to Australia, wear a ton of sunscreen because the sun can really, really damage you. I even find that the quality in sunscreen is quite different from American brands than it is from Australian brands. So even if you're coming over to Australia on a trip, buy your sunscreen in Australia because it will just be higher quality and will protect your skin better.
That.
If you made it this far in the video, please leave an Australian flag emoji down in the comments so I know that you're a real one. Now we're getting to number 10 of the differences, and that is school holidays. In America, it's quite known that you go on a really long summer break. It's about 3 months long. In Australia, you would call it holidays, but in America, you would call it a vacation. In America, it's all this whole big summer vacation. You go out with your friends, maybe you do like a summer camp. In Australia, however, the holidays are a little bit different. It's almost like every every quarter, every like couple months, that you would get 2 to 3 weeks off,
That's
with
nice.
a larger one, I think around like Christmas, which is about like a month. Although you don't get like a full summer break of 3 months off, you get more of these like standard longer breaks, so you can plan a lot more holidays rather than going on like one giant one. I'm actually quite curious what you guys think about summer in America or summer in Australia in terms of holidays. Which one would you prefer? Would you rather take a giant 3-month holiday, or would you rather take a bunch of smaller ones that are like 2 to 3 weeks? Leave a comment down below, I'm curious. And
that's a difficult one. That's difficult because during the year, you want like breaks, and you want like a 2 to 3 week break throughout the year. But at the same time, I'd also want like just a big break. I think I'm going to stick, just because I was raised here, I think I'm going to go with the American summer vacation. I think I'm going to go, I'm one. Yeah, I think just being raised here has put me in the mindset of like work throughout the year, and you get your little holidays, you get your fall break, spring breaks, and those you get like a week off. Christmas, you get like 2 weeks out. And then big summer vacation, 2 to 2.5 months. I feel like at this point now, it's nice to just kind of have it all stored up into a big vacation where you just get to go crazy in summer and just get to have an absolute blast. Yeah, I feel like the Australian way, you get to plan for more holidays throughout the year. But I don't know, something about when I was a kid, just absolutely enjoying that entire summer break to the fullest. And then just having that summer break had me ready to go back to school, hang out with friends and everything. I don't know. Y'all talk to me in the comment section. I'm also very interested in what you would choose. I feel like both countries are going to choose the norm in their countries. So, I don't know.
Extra difference that I wanted to throw in is the flies and insects. In America, the flies are there, but they're just not as annoying and they're not as big. But in Australia, the flies are so huge and there's so many of them. It is so annoying. Like every time summer comes around, I forget how annoying the flies are. They just like stick to your face different and they just annoy you different. And I just hate flies. So at least I'm living in Melbourne where the flies aren't as bad, I feel like. But up north, like all the insects are crazy. I wish I knew that before coming to Australia for sure. So if you enjoyed watching this video of the differences between Australia and the US, I have 3 other videos that you can watch to get updated on more differences between the 2 countries. I also have a couple other videos around some vlogs of what it's like to live a day in the life in Australia, so feel free to check those out as well. If there are any specific videos that you want to see in the future, definitely leave a comment down below and I'll see if I can make a video on it. As always, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my wife absolutely hates any type of bugs, insects, whatever. So them flies, she probably go absolutely mental about. But that was real cool to hear more differences from her channel. I had a good time listening, and I agreed with a lot of them when she was talking about the U.S. Of course, I don't know everything about how it is in Australia, so I just have to take her word for it. But y'all talk to me in the comment section whether ones you agree with, disagree with, and then I want to know about the summer vacation. Would you choose to take more breaks throughout the year, or let those breaks all add up into one big break in the summer? Let me know in the comments. You guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.